Okay, let's just jump right in. We all remember the Jetsons, right? The flying cars, Rosie the robot, the whole city up in the sky. It always felt like this fun, super distant fantasy. But what if I told you that future wasn't so far away after all?
So what if their timeline didn't start in some far-off century, but actually kicked off like right now? Well, the source material we're digging into today does exactly that. It completely recasts this classic family into our own modern generations. And how they all fit together, or don't, well, that's what we're here to figure out.
And right away, you can see this completely flips the script. On one hand, you have the 1960s cartoon, which was, let's be honest, pure fantasy. But this new timeline, it's grounded in a reality we're actually building as we speak, a world run by AI, where we're always connected, and where what it means to be a kid or a boss is totally different. So let's meet the family at the heart of all this change.
All right, first up, let's talk about the character we all think we know, George Jetson. But I want you to forget the bumbling, middle-aged dad complaining about his job. In this new timeline, he's the youngest one in the family, the first true digital native. And his story? Man, it gives us a wild look at what the future of childhood is going to be like.
So this new George, he's what we call Generation Alpha. Now just think about that for a second. This isn't a generation that had to learn how to use a smartphone or a tablet. Nope. They were literally born into a world where that tech was already everywhere. For them, AI isn't some cool new tool you pick up. It's just part of the air they breathe. It shapes how they think and see the world from the get-go.
And the details here, they really paint a wild picture. He was born in 2022, which means by 2025, George Jetson is just a 3-year-old, toddler. Can you even imagine that? The guy who used to complain about pushing buttons all day is now a little kid who's never known a world without AI nannies, smart homes, and robotic pets. For him, none of this is the future. It's just life. And get this, it's just 3 years old, the same age we just saw. The whole pace of his life is just staggering. He's not going to some normal preschool. No. He's starting his education inside immersive VR worlds, learning things in ways that were pure sci-fi for his parents. We're not just talking about a new way to learn here. We're talking about a completely different kind of childhood.
Okay, so if that's childhood, what about the workplace? How does this whole generational shakeup play out there? Well, for that, we need to meet the man at the top, Cosmo Spacely. But this time, he's reimagined as a Millennial CEO. His story really gives us a front-row seat to the future of work and what it takes to lead.
So Spacely is a millennial, or Gen Y. This is the generation that grew up with the rise of the internet. They're known for their digital skills and that entrepreneurial hustle, but they also had to navigate some huge economic ups and downs right when they were starting out. In a lot of ways, they were the ones who built the digital world we're all living in right now.
So here he is, the new Spacely. And he's only 30 years old, running the whole company. I mean, forget that old cartoon image of a short, angry boss constantly yelling Jetson. This Spacely is a young, tech visionary who's wrestling with a really modern problem. How do you push for game-changing AI without totally alienating your human employees? That's the tightrope he has to walk.
And this timeline here shows that struggle perfectly. You can see that in 2024, he's diving headfirst into space tourism tech, while also trying to integrate AI into his company, which, yeah, it boosts productivity, but it also creates a ton of tension with the staff. So what does he do? By early 2025, he launches this Future Leaders program to mentor new talent. It's that classic millennial leadership dilemma. Innovate like crazy, but try your best not to leave your people in the dust.
Okay, now for a character who just completely shatters every single stereotype about getting older. Let's talk about Grandpa Montague Jetson. But he's not a grandpa in the way you think. He's a Gen X influencer, and his story totally redefines the future of aging.
So Montague is pure Gen X, born between 65 and 80. This is the generation that's famous for being self-reliant, adaptable, and super practical. They're often called the bridge generation because they had an analog childhood, cassette tapes, no internet, but were the first ones to really dive into the digital world as adults. And that experience made them incredibly resilient.
And that background explains this new Montague to a T. At 55 years old, he isn't even thinking about slowing down. He's just blowing up.
He's a social media influencer and an extreme sports icon. And this isn't just about being a cool grandpa. No way. This represents a total reinvention of what it means to get older, where your life experience becomes a kind of cultural superpower. He's not just adapting to the future, he's literally deciding what's cool.
I mean, just look at this highlight reel from the last couple of years. He's pioneering tech-infused extreme sports. He's launching viral fashion trends with AR accessories, think neo-retro. And he's even starring in a hit Holo series. This guy isn't fading away. He's a cultural force, using his unique life story to connect with everyone from Gen Z all the way down to little Gen Alphas, like his grandson.
So you've got this Gen Alpha toddler, a Millennial CEO, and a Gen X influencer. What happens when you put them all together? Well, that brings us to our final section, how this completely new Jetsons family actually manages to build a shared vision for the future. So the whole timeline leads up to this big family reunion in 2025, and it basically serves as a blueprint for the future. It's set up as a knowledge exchange. And what's the main event? A family robotics competition. Think about it. You get Montague's adventurous spirit, Cosmo's tech genius, and little George's natural, intuitive understanding of it all combined. The prize isn't some trophy. It's something way more important, a shared purpose. And this really gets to the heart of what this whole reimagining is about. As the source material puts it, it's the discussions of sustainability, tech ethics, and societal progress that end up shaping their path forward. Real progress, it turns out, doesn't just come from one brilliant person or one generation. It comes from mashing up the unique strengths and perspectives of all of them.
And that leaves us with one final thought. In this new version of the Jetsons, their incredible future doesn't hinge on one single inventor or one powerful generation taking the lead. It depends entirely on all of them working together.